I'm Asha, and I'm running the Show Up for India campaign, which is raising awareness and funds for some incredible organizations that are utilizing their skills and their contacts to support India now, and setting up structures to really create resiliency in the case of multiple waves. And one of the charities my campaign is supporting is Help India Breathe initiative, and I'm really pleased to be joined today by one of its organizers, Chakshu Saharan. Hi, Chakshu.
Hi, Asha.
And so really short one on Help India Breathe, and I'll really pass it over to Chakshu. But Help India Breathe is really focused on creating both long-term and also short-term immediacy care needs for India at the moment. In the short term, it's really providing training for unemployed youth, but really in the longer term, it's focused on creating a healthcare ecosystem for marginalised communities through its local partners. So, Chakshu, can you talk to us about what you're hearing on the ground in India at the moment?
Yes, so Asha, mostly what we hear in the media is about mostly covering the urban centers, and rightly so, because the wave of infections is quite high, and the lack of medical supplies and equipment. But equally, that scenario is playing out everywhere in India. And if you look at B towns, which we call smaller towns and villages, there isn't anything. Even in a normal environment, the healthcare system is not geared to be able to cope even under normal circumstances. So I think 73% of the healthcare infrastructure is focused on the urban sector in India, and whereas only 27% of the population lives in the urban areas. So that the urban-rural divide is quite stark, and it's becoming starker in this particular pandemic. So the ground reality is it is pretty bad everywhere, and what you're seeing in the media is specific to certain places because there is more reporting. People are on social media; they're able to share their needs and their desperation more.
Yeah. And so really, what compelled you then to start the Help India Breathe initiative?
Yes, sure. So I'm actually a tech entrepreneur. I have a startup called Igneous. So Igneous builds devices and connected solutions to keep vulnerable people safe. So it was designed for vulnerable women in India after the Nirbhaya case of 2012, which many people would be aware of. So that was the inspiration. I then got myself involved into building hardware and actually got into that kind of ecosystem of technology and tech entrepreneurs. So when this particular wave hit towards the middle of the end of April, there was a need for very much equipment like CPAP machines, which is this continuous pressure breathing equipment, and ventilators, and also oxygen concentrators. So the idea was to be able to look at what was built in the West, especially in the UK, through the ventilator challenge last year, because a lot of companies at that had invested in the research and development to build, quick manufactured devices, etc., rapid manufacturing. And so the idea was to be able to use all of that technology and know-how and see if any of that could be transferred to India. We started with that idea, and it's still there, but in the situation on the ground escalated pretty badly, pretty quickly, and suddenly you would have, and your audience would know that suddenly there was a need for oxygen concentrators. And very tragically, my local hospital in India lost around 30 patients overnight because of lack of oxygen. So that kind of got us into the mode of trying to source oxygen concentrators, which right now we have sourced and are pretty much on their way to be deployed. So that was primarily it. But working with Jan Vikas, our charity partners, they are not only focused on providing immediate relief, which is through oxygen concentrators or could be through CPAP machines, etc. They're very much involved in looking at how COVID can be prevented for the third wave. So there are lessons to be learned from the first and the second wave. The first wave had migrant crisis. A lot of people moved from cities back to their homes, and that created a different kind of crisis. The second wave has been a case of not being enough preparedness by everyone. And so there are lessons to be learned from the first and second wave, and Jan Vikas is using that for getting prepared for the third wave. So thinking about the long term, and that includes, as you said, training unemployed youth and making them get trained into paramedic care, and so they become the front line of the fight against COVID. So therefore, the very limited resources we have for doctors and intensive care specialists are then focused on really sick patients as against people who are not part of that particular spectrum of the disease, because COVID is on a spectrum, as we all know. So anyone with COVID would present at a different stage of the infection or would have a different presentation of it. Yeah, so that's where it is.
I mean, that's, you know, sort of incredible as well, because I assume, you know, particularly those sort of sitting on as unemployed, you know, they also feel helpless where they are, and so giving them a purpose must also be, you know, a really good use of people's time and energy and focus, particularly, I'm assuming, you know, even a mental health perspective as well. You know, even those who are not experiencing, their families are not experiencing it, it must just be a very hard bubble to be living in.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it works both ways, because you have unemployed youth and then you have a scarcity of healthcare workers, and it kind of marries them together. And that's for the long term, because post-COVID also, you then create a healthcare workforce which works on the grassroots.
Yes, thank you. And so how much have you, or has Help to Breathe initiative raised to date through the campaign? And sort of how much is there left to go, and what's the idea? So if you can share that with us.
So we are close to £140,000 as of today, and our target is £200,000. So we are £60,000 short. Yes, so hoping through conversations like yourselves, it would help us get to that £200,000 fairly quickly, because time is of essence here.
Yeah. And what will that 200,000, you know, enable Jan Vikas and Help India to Breathe initiative do?
So it would help us train more paramedics. So first of all, it will help us get more equipment to the hospitals, to local hospitals, charitable hospitals, etc. And also start training paramedics, as we are doing, building. We also do things like health prevention kits, the COVID prevention kits. So it would have things like, would be early diagnostics more than prevention. So it would have things like oximeters, thermometers, your cold and flu medicine, initial ones. So the reason to have oximeters and thermometers is because you don't have testing. So when someone has initial symptoms, you can easily check through oximeters and thermometers to know that they need to self-isolate, or what could be the cause of their ill health. And that kind of helps, manage COVID in a better fashion, rather than waiting for tests, because tests take a long time for the results to come in. So that kind of around diagnostics, and then getting ready, as I said, for the third wave, learnings from the initial waves as well. There's also a bit of conversation around using telemedicine. So, where the healthcare workers are on the front line but need additional support, then there is a telemedicine kind of a structure created for them to have that additional help in case, they need to identify further symptoms, etc. So that is primarily the entire idea. And what we do is, Jan Vikas is primarily in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand. But it works with its, it has a network of charities, and so it can work with other charities as well. The founder of Jan Vikas, Gagan Sethi, is actually on the international board of Oxfam. So he's a very well-known personality and very well respected in the UK as well, because of his grassroots work. So yes, so that's how the 200,000 would be used. Initial 100,000 and more has been used to source first batch of oxygen concentrators. So the rest is now going to be used in COVID care, etc. And it would be primarily on the third wave, and also to currently manage the current wave as well in smaller towns and cities. not cities, smaller towns and villages.
Yeah. Thank you. And is there any other ways that people can help beyond donating as well? I think you mentioned sort of telemedicine, but just, in ways of skills or contacts or
Yeah,
anything?
absolutely. I mean, the best way would be to stay connected, and yeah, if you have any, if you have any expertise in ICU care, or if you have worked on COVID care across the world, that would be great. Anything to sharing best practice around how to manage it, because getting ready, people are talking about the current wave, but the next wave unfortunately is going to happen. The other thing is, if any of people are involved in any products company, like in ventilators or CPAP devices, etc., and if there was a possibility to donate any of breathing equipment or oximeters or anything, that would be great as well. So yes, primarily expertise, and also anywhere where you were able to donate any products and things, that would be great, because as we say, it's a drop in the ocean. The country is vast. Anything that comes in, it's not going to be specific, kept in one region. It would be shared across through network of charities. They're all looking for help, and most of the marginalized communities tend to get forgotten. They are the last ones to be provided with anything when it comes to resource distribution.
Just to end on, you also have a website as well. So, I know that Help to Breathe is quite a popular sort of slogan or hashtag. Yeah. So can people find, your active and news?
So it is Help India Breathe, and under my name, Chakshu Saharan. And frankly, so initially when Help India Breathe came up, it was, I don't want to say it, but it was us who came up with it. And then we saw Help India Breathe coming along. And we thought it was beautiful, because it ultimately, it's not one fundraiser that can do it. We need multiple fundraisers doing multiple things. And if it became that whole idea or the tagline, which brought a lot, oh, that makes me very emotional. If it brings everyone together, we need so many more fundraisers doing so many things. Someone providing food, someone providing relief, someone thinking of the third wave. So it can't be just one fundraiser. It can't be a competition. It is the collaboration. So yes, Help India Breathe. If you check under my name, it will come up. And if it doesn't, if you see something else worth donating, please go ahead and donate to them. It's equally going to the same cause, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So it doesn't really matter.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Chakshu.
Thanks so much, Asha. It was lovely talking to you.
And you.
Take care.